to take responsibility for it. So it's up to you to make your mind up to do it, okay? Now, on a deeper level, the effect that your mind has on your body is absolutely unbelievable, all right? The more research that we get out on mind-body connection and how the mind affects the body, it just keeps blowing the door off the previous door. It just keeps expanding our knowledge on it, and it's absolutely unbelievable.
I've heard that the body is a reflection of the subconscious mind.
And I agree with that.
Yeah.
And it's actually being proven in science now. If you've ever heard of this new science now, you've probably talked to Roby, epigenetics.
Yeah, it goes a lot more, a lot deeper than that.
It goes
actually,
much deeper
yeah.
than that. Now we're seeing that the epigene controls the genes, and a big influence on the epigenes is the mind.
Right.
The mind has a huge influence on the epigene. And epigenes are, you got to think, genes are nothing more than on-off switches. All right, they're either turned on or they're turned off. Okay, so the question really is not what the gene does. The question is what turns it on and off. And we're finding the epigenE does that, and we're finding that the mind has a huge effect. So you can affect your body on a genetic level by how you think.
But, well, I mean, it's more than how you think, though, because it's a subconscious thing also. Like, I mean, it's like you don't think to yourself, take a breath, like every time you take a breath, but, your body still reacts like that because of something in your mind.
That's exactly right.
And
We're going to get into that more down here.
All right, sorry.
No, that's good. I'm glad. I like that. Throw that out there because it is a subconscious. And keep in mind also your subconscious you can control with your conscious.
Yeah.
All right, now you got to work on it. It's probably the easiest one and the hardest one at the same time. And we'll come back to that later and talk about that. But when you start looking at the effect that it has on your body, like you're talking about, it affects your heart, your lungs, your metabolism, everything. When you start looking how important it is, guys, you've got to put some time into it. You've got to work your mind and exercise it, all right? If you look at some of these split personality studies that have been done, one study that I was reading years ago was on a lady with split personality that whenever she drank orange juice, I believe it was, when she was in one personality, she was perfectly fine. She'd drink it all day long. When she switched personalities, if she'd drink that orange juice, she'd have an allergic reaction to that orange juice. Now, she thought she was having, she had a physical reaction. She'd begin to break out in hives, her throat would begin to swell, she had a physical response. Now understand, her body's the same. The only thing that's changed is her mind, okay? And it had a physical response. Now, you also see it in any type of health study done. I always say that the pill that has stood the test of time is the placebo. It's been around since the beginning, it'll be around at the end. All right, any type of health study done usually has a placebo. Does everybody know what placebo means? It's the sugar pill, all right, or the fake group. So any study done, whether it's done on chiropractic or pharmaceuticals or whatever. So let's say you take a drug, and what they do is they usually have three groups, all right? One group is the test group, getting the pharmaceutical or the adjustment or whatever. Let's take orthopedic surgery because they did the study on arthroscopic knee surgery. So they go out and find a bunch of patients with bad knees, arthritic knees. Group number one got arthroscopic knee surgery, actually got the surgery. Group number two, what they did in the study, which is kind of fascinating, they went and made 3 small incisions, just like arthroscopic surgery, but didn't do anything else, stitched them back up, just to make the patient think they had arthroscopic knee surgery. And then usually there's a third group over here that they don't do anything to. They just leave them alone. It's a control group, okay? The idea is if the first group doesn't get better results than the second group, then the procedure is considered ineffective. It's no better than placebo, and it's ineffective. Okay, now in that arthroscopic knee surgery study, 30%, if I remember right, got better and showed significant improvements in the surgery group. 30% in the placebo group showed significant improvement also. Just by faking them out, they showed significant improvement in range of motion, reduction of pain, across the board, everything got better. Now, that blew the doors off of arthroscopic surgery and stuff, and it created a huge debate. But my point in it was, if we would just invest more money into studying this placebo group, take a little bit of money out of the pharmaceutical industry and study placebo effect, because in my opinion, that's healing in its purest form. All right, when you can just change the way people think or fake somebody out kind of, and their body kicks in and heals and gets better, it doesn't get any better than that, in my opinion. And if we put more emphasis onto that and what's happening during the placebo effect, I think we could blow the doors off of healthcare.
Well, I think, in our culture today, I know that, older cultures, like the shaman, like the medicine man or the tribe or something, like the tribe members would respect him and believe him and trust him, and so then it could give him, rainwater and say, hey, this will cure you, and it would because of the placebo, but it also because of the relationship between the doctor and the patient. And I think that in our culture today, there's so little trust and there's so little, actual genuine, you're the most genuine doctor that I've seen in a really long time. So.
Well, and what you're saying has actually been tested in studies where they can come in and the more dramatic the procedure done, or the more confidence the patient has in the doctor, you can change the placebo effect based on that.
Yeah.
And that's why I tell patients all the time, you've got to keep your mind where it is, and we need to keep a relationship where we're working good together. If we ever get to where we're at odds with each other, we got to fix that immediately, all right? Because that will affect your response to care. Without question, it will.
But then also, if you ask like the majority of people why they came into the medical profession in the first place, it's for money. It's not to help people.
You know, I wish I could say that's not true, but unfortunately, I think it is most of the time. And chiropractic is definitely that way. It's gone down that path without question. And we're going to talk about that later on also, about that path also. But there's still a ton of guys out there. The unfortunate thing is they tend to be the quiet ones.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, let me throw you a couple more ideas out on mine, and then we'll move on this. Has anybody in here ever bought a car or a shirt and thought it was fairly unique? And as soon as you drove that car off the lot, what did you see on every single corner? Your car. Has anybody ever experienced that, or your shirt, or your coat, or whatever? Now, let me ask you, is that something magical that happens? That as soon as you drive off, all of a sudden thousands of other people bought the same car you bought? What changed there? What was the only thing that changed?
You noticed?
You noticed. That's all that changed, right? Your focus. Does that make sense? Everybody agree with that? Everybody with me on that? Okay. Now, if everybody thinks that's true, here's the next two tough questions. You got to stay with me here, all right? If we go through life focusing on all of our aches and pains and all of our problems and all the negative stuff going on in the world and all this negative stuff going on in politics, what do we see popping up on every corner around us? More negative stuff, right? So if that's true, and I think it is, if you change your focus from all your aches and pains over to your health and solutions, all right, and on all the positive stuff going on around you, what starts popping up around you now? Positive stuff, solutions, instead of more problems, okay? Now this is critical, because I have patients come in all the time that we solve one problem, and next week they got a new problem. We solve that problem, and next week they got a new problem. And the next week they got a new problem. And a lot of that's coming from this principle right here, guys. All right, this is critical. Now, I've spent many years studying mind, body, and positive imaging. I've got almost every Anthony Robbins book out there, and Deepak Chopra. I got them all, okay? I love studying that stuff. And there was a point in my life, not that long ago, where I honestly believed that by changing the way you think, you could attract stuff into your life. The law of attraction. Have you ever heard that law? It's called the law of attraction. Change the way you think, and you could attract stuff into your life. I don't believe that anymore. I don't think that's true, okay? What I think is actually true is we all have positive, negative, good stuff, bad stuff around us all the time. The question is, what are you focusing on? If you focus on the good stuff, all of a sudden it appears you're attracting stuff into your life that really is already there. All right, you're just missing it. All right, opportunities you're missing every day because you're just not focusing on the good stuff. All the time I have staff members say, when I first came to here, Crystal that worked for us was asking me about apple cider vinegar. What do you know about apple cider vinegar? I keep hearing it's so good for you. I said, well, so I told her what I knew about it. About an hour later, I went to my computer and was looking at my websites and stuff and downloading all my stuff. Guess what came up on that? The newest apple cider vinegar research paper that was done on it, all right? Printed it off, went and handed it to her, said, here's the latest stuff on it, do what you want with it, all right? Now, that article would have come up regardless of whether she asked me that question, but since we were focused on it, I saw it and we were able to act on it. If you start shifting your focus over here, guys, all of a sudden you're going to see articles popping up, you're going to run into people that are talking about it, you're going to find doctors that are talking about it. All of a sudden your life's going to go from focusing on symptoms and disease and illness and pain to focusing on health and vitality and enjoying life. And it'll change dramatically for you guys. So without question, this is the most important one you can do. If you don't do anything else tonight that we talk about, do that one thing, and not only will it change your health, it'll change your whole life. It'll make your whole life better. Now, nutrition. Let's spend some time on nutrition. That is an industry that has spent millions of dollars convincing you guys y'all don't know how to eat. You got to have this book. You got to have